I'm not entirely sure how many people watch MLB draft prospects out there, but I'm telling you, I've got you covered. And there is a new pitcher that is currently having a Paul Skenes kind of rise in the MLB draft. And for those of you who know, the Nationals have the number 1 overall pick, and they could be getting a Paul Skenes kind of guy.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And of course, look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcast, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, and of course, the video version of this said podcast that you can catch over on YouTube. Again, just search Locked On Nationals and hit that subscriber button, please. Later on in today's show, we're kind of getting to Masson here because I felt as if we talked a lot about it this past week. And I think we should just kind of go back to it and kind of talk about the future. Like, this is Bob Carpenter's last season with the Nationals. Is it going to be Dan Kolka doing play-by-play? Let's discuss that later on in the show today. And in the second segment of the program, we will be discussing the Nationals prospects and who will be coming up to make their debut in 2025. I've got 4 guys for you to keep an eye on just to make their major league debut in 2025. So we'll have that discussion for you later on in the show today. But let's start off discussing the MLB draft because the Nationals have the number 1 overall pick. And there's a new guy that you're going to have to track. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That is FanDuel.com. So there is a new guy for you to watch out there. And he goes by the name of Liam Doyle from Tennessee. This is someone who started off in Coastal Carolina a few years ago, transferred over to Tennessee, and right now through 4 starts, he is having one of the most dominant campaigns to date that we have seen. Again, through his first 4 starts, he's got 20 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 47 strikeouts, only 5 walks, and a 0.541 whip. Guys, that is nearly 2 hits per 9 innings, about 2 walks per 9 innings, and he is striking out about 21 batters per 9 innings through his first 4 starts. And oh, by the way, this guy is an electric factory out there on the mound. When you go into the draft, you always try to find a difference maker. Sometimes the difference maker comes to you when it is Steven Strasburg, when the Nationals held the number 1 overall pick in 2009. Sometimes that difference maker comes in the form of a Bryce Harper. He was a difference maker when the Nationals had the number 1 overall pick in 2010. You get 2 of those guys here. And now the Nationals have another opportunity to go in and get another difference maker. I think that it is going to be Liam Doyle, the left-handed pitcher from the University of Tennessee. At this point in time, if someone's going to be honest with me, as of a month ago, and someone's like, have you heard of Liam Doyle? Never heard of him ever. But we are kind of getting ahead of our time here. Like, it is what? March 14th? The MLB draft is a couple months away. There is still a full season of baseball to be played down at the college level. But what Liam Doyle has done so far has put his name totally on the map. And for some of us who read The Athletic and who read Keith Law's stuff, you read about him this past weekend. Keith Law, one of the top MLB prospect kind of guys who is just always putting out stuff on MLB prospects. He had Liam Doyle as his current number 1 prospect in this draft. He is now going to be kind of that prized possession that people are looking for. At just 20 years old, He'll be 21 the day that he is drafted. The left-handed pitcher who touched 98 this past weekend is known for his great command as of this point, and also his fastball that can touch 98, but also can fix in a slider that's been really good and really effective, and also a cutter that's been really good and effective. And he does have a changeup that he throws every now and then as well. But this is the new guy to watch. Like, if you're a Nationals fan out there and you're wondering, well, what are the Nationals going to do with the number 1 overall pick? There's a couple big names out there. For instance, in Ethan Holiday, the son of Matt Holiday, the former All-Star, World Series champion, the brother of Jackson Holiday, the former number 1 overall pick from the Baltimore Orioles. There's a couple different ways the Nationals could go here. And also, not even to mention, another left-handed pitcher from Florida State, Jamie Arnold, who's also in this discussion here. But no one has been better than Liam. And Liam Doyle is starting to separate himself completely from the pack of MLB Draft prospects. Mike Rizzo has always been a pitcher-friendly GM. He has always gone for the big swing when it comes for pitchers. And typically, when he does take a big swing, whether it's in free agency or in the draft, he hits a home run. One thing that I really trust with Mike Rizzo is scouting young talent at the top of the board. That is something he has been proven to do pretty well over the years, drafting inside the top 5. Really, the only one that I can think of that has kind of just flared out is Elijah Green at this point, but he's still also pretty young. The Nationals are in such a great position today. You have got a core of very good prospects already. Dylan Cruz is still technically a prospect. You've got Brady House, a former first-round pick as well. You've got Travis Sikora, who is a first-round talent. You've got Harleen Susana, who is a first-round talent coming out of the Dominican Republic. The Nationals have got talent, man. But if you can get this guy, Liam Doyle, who is now on my radar, who will be starting tonight for University of Tennessee, turn on that game and watch this guy. He is a difference maker out there. In kind of talking about today's game, and when I say that he was an electric factory, watch the way he runs off the mound after he strikes someone out. This is a different kind of intensity that the Nationals in today's game, they want. You need someone out there who is, number 1, going to be your ace for 6 to 7 years, which I think Liam Doyle could be. And number 2, someone that is just going to be a very good pitcher. Because we all know this. We have won a World Series before. It seems like forever ago, but we have done that. Pitching is everything. In that core of the rotation was Steven Strasburg, who was your big game pitcher, the number 1 overall pick in 2009. The Nationals need their Steven Strasburg. And I think it's a little unfair at this point to be like, Liam Doyle is going to be Steven Strasburg. Come on. Who knows at this point? But Liam Doyle right now has to be the name to watch for the Washington Nationals. It just makes sense. And for where the Nationals are, you would have to think to yourself, like, you don't draft for need, but the Nationals, they need top-level pitching. They need guys to come up through the minors and make a big difference. I think Liam Doyle is that difference maker. He is that tone setter. He is the guy that, number 1, Mike Rizzo is going to crave for. Think about it. Mike Rizzo, not only did he sign Max Scherzer's that huge deal before 2015, but he also drafted Max Scherzer back in the day. He likes the intensity. Liam Doyle has that kind of intensity. And with the Nationals being number 1 right now, for those of you checking, Liam Doyle right now on MLB.com, he's ranked like the 74th best prospect in this draft. It is a huge rise that he is on right now, but still, forget the rankings, follow the results. This guy has got something. And I'm telling you right now, I think today, if I were to put money on it, I'm going to bet on Liam Doyle being the Nationals' number 1 overall pick over Ethan Holiday, over a big power bat with Jace Laviolette, over an established left-handed pitcher with Jamie Arnold at this point. This guy has got something. I don't know what it is. I watched a few of his innings the other night, and I was starstruck, number one. And number two, all I could think was, I want that guy to be a Washington National like yesterday. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And guys, we have some prospects. Did I mention that in this first segment? We've got some guys. I'm going to name 4 guys who might be making their Major League debut. In fact, I'll even go as far to say they will make their Major League debut this season. We'll discuss that after we tell you about some of my very good friends over at FanDuel. And of course, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, like the local team in George Mason. They've won the regular season in Atlantic 10. They should be an at-large bid, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. And with tournament games happening almost every single day, there's always something exciting to bet on. And the FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long at FanDuel.com. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So as we were talking about a little bit earlier on, the Nationals have got some good prospects, and they've got some good prospects ready to come up in the year of 2025. So let's get right into that. And the number one guy who is expected to make his debut this season, you all know the name. It is Brady House. Brady House, at one point in time, was the Nationals' number one overall prospect, and for good reason, by the way. He has serious 60 grade power. You have seen it on display at all minor league levels at this point. You have seen him do pretty damn well in spring training so far. And the 21-year-old is going to burst out onto the scene and make his Major League debut in 2025. Now, what are some reasonable expectations for Brady House? Am I expecting this guy to come up and be like the next great third baseman instantly right off the bat? No. But the player that I kind of compare him to early on in his career, he reminds me of an Austin Riley type. Now, Austin Riley was probably a little bit more of a polished prospect coming out of the prospect rankings here. But Brady House has that kind of ceiling where he can be very good defensively, and he can certainly hit 30 to maybe even 40 home runs someday. A big frame, 6'4", 210 pounds. This guy has serious raw power, and he is just 21 years old. And in his first full season in 2023, he hit .312 with a .497 slug. That is the kind of ceiling that I expect from Brady House, kind of just at the floor of things. Like, I think that is most likely best case scenario here. In this past season, it is hard to ignore some of the struggles that he did have, especially in AAA once he got there. So he played about 54 games in AAA this past season, had a 655 OPS, and really wasn't that really great this past season. But I still believe in the fact that Brady House is going to be a very good prospect. He's going to make his debut. And that leads us to another Washington National who's going to make his debut as well this season. And that is another former first-round pick, Robert Hassell III. And if you kind of get into it with Robert Hassell here, he is one of those guys where, again, it's the second spring training in a row where he is just absolutely killing it. He was supposed to be the guy, if you look back at that Juan Soto deal, that everybody thought that he would be the first prospect up in the bigs. At least that's what I thought when the Nationals first traded for him, because he was already in like Double-A when the Nationals traded for him. Things have happened. Injuries have unfortunately kind of derailed his development over the last few seasons here. But Robert Hassel III, you heard about Bobby and I talking about it on yesterday's show here. Robert Hassel, when he is healthy, he is a difference maker. He is still that same prospect that the Nationals got and what they were expecting in 2022. He's got healthy wrists now. He's 100% healthy, and he is just all in on this season, and you see the results at this point in time. He's basically getting a hit in 40% of his at-bats so far in spring training, going up against some real, legit major league talent as well. So if Robert Hassel can, number one, stay healthy, then the Nationals have got themselves another very good outfielding prospect. And it's interesting enough, like with Alex Call leaving the game the other day, now I don't think it's going to be that serious of an issue, but you now might have a fourth outfielder spot open. And Bobby brought up a great point saying that I don't think the Nationals will want Robert Hassel III to just ride the bench being the fourth outfielder here, because I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that helps his development at all. But it does open up some opportunities for him to potentially come up. And if all things were just kind of straight in line here, I would say that he is the next one in line to be that next starting outfielder for the Washington Nationals. For, let's say, James Wood gets put on the IL, or Dylan Cruz or Jacob Young, Robert Hassel is going to be the first man up, and he's going to get the first crack at an opportunity in the major leagues this year as far as some big time prospects go, and he deserves it. This guy is a real prospect, and he has been slept on for these past few seasons because of injuries, but when he is healthy, check out the numbers. They are very good. And in spring training so far, he has put up some really good numbers overall, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the year of 2025. But he will be a Washington National, hopefully some point this summer. So keep your eye on out for Robert Hassel III. Number 3, someone that the Nationals got at the deadline, someone who I really like, Tyler Stewart. And if you kind of go into it, now Tyler Stewart this past season for the Nationals, he started out in Double-A, and for those of you who don't know, you got him in the Jesse Winker trade from the New York Mets. And in 4 starts in Harrisburg, Tyler Stewart was like unhittable. Had like a 2 ERA in those 4 starts, 21 2/3 innings pitched, and 32 strikeouts in 7 walks. Batters had a 205 batting average against him. He had a 106 whip. Then he got thrown up to Triple-A, and it was a little uglier. It was only 4 starts in Triple-A, had a 7.5 ERA, so it wasn't the best for Tyler Stewart. But if you look back at 2023, in 21 starts, had 110 innings pitched and 112 strikeouts, and even had a 1-1 whip on the year as well. Number one, the one thing that I really look at with Tyler Stewart is he has got a filthy slider that we have actually seen on display this year watching some of these spring training games. And also, he has had relatively good control throughout his career. Now, like any other young pitching prospect out there, it's going to take some time for him to really kind of control this 4 pitches that he possesses at this point. But I do really like Tyler Stewart. And I do think behind Mitchell Parker or DJ Hurst, whoever gets sent down to Triple-A, after that, it's likely Tyler Stewart if Cade Cavalli can't get healthy. He is a very real, legit prospect for this Nationals team. And I don't know where his role is going to be carved out, but he is someone to watch, not only to be a starting pitcher, but also someone who could potentially come out of the bullpen. Speaking of starting pitchers as well, one of the breakout prospects in this organization is 18th round pick back in 2022, Brad Lord. I cannot say enough good things about Brad Lord so far. Touching 97, 98 miles per hour with his fastball, had a great season this past year, was the second best pitcher behind Travis Sikora in 2024 for the Nationals, and he worked his way up from high A all the way up to AAA Rochester and was even making a case to be in the majors at some points this past season. Had 25 starts, 129 and 2/3 innings pitched, had 135 strikeouts as well, a 224 batting average, a 1.2 whip on the year. And Brad Lord, at every level that he was at, was pretty damn dominant. And it's starting to look as if, number one, the Nationals, they believe in him. Maybe as a starter, maybe as a reliever, but they are giving him every opportunity to, number one, pitch, and number two, be a starter or just a reliever at this point. I like Brad Lord. I will even go as far to say I am a Brad Lord guy. So, with that in mind, when will he come up? It will be 2025, and you're going to see all four of these guys in the year of 2025. So let's run through the list again. You've got 2021 first-round pick Brady House. You've got Robert Hassel III, one of the key pieces in that Juan Soto trade. Right-handed pitcher Tyler Stewart and right-handed pitcher Brad Lord. Those four guys will be on the Washington Nationals roster at some point, making their major league debuts. So next, let's talk about Masson real quick. There's going to be an interesting final year of Masson. Who's going to be calling play-by-play games for the Washington Nationals moving forward? We'll discuss that after we tell you about our good friends over at Monarch Money. And of course, you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center, and you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. And when I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, and now I budget smarter and save more. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan some long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And for those who are not aware, we are entering the final year of Masson. The debacle is over. I'm sure if you just look up Masson debacle, you'll find a ton of Locked On Nationals content out there, but that is now in the past, and we are in the final year of being partners with the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. But with that said, the Nationals' voice for all these years here in DC is Bob Carpenter. He is going to be entering his final season here with the Washington Nationals, in which he is expected to call roughly half the games in 2025. And you're also changing over to a new network. Maybe it's Monumental Sports. Maybe it's name that streaming app that we don't know at this point in time. But what's going to happen? Who is going to take the play-by-play spot? You would like to think that it's going to be Dan Kolko, who has been here in the market, has been here since the mid-2010s, has been here for nearly a decade at this point in time. And that is probably the obvious choice, alongside Kevin Frandsen, who is the current color commentator for your Washington Nationals. But there could be a shakeup coming. Not that I want to see that. I really like Dan Kolko, and I really like Kevin Frandsen as the color guy. I think this is a fun, exciting young booth, and obviously, it goes without saying, I love Bob Carpenter. I grew up with Bob Carpenter on the call for some of my first Nationals games that I watched as a kid, and he is a legend in this market as far as I'm concerned. But as we enter this final season, there's going to be a lot of things to consider here for the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network and for the Nationals moving forward. Number one, where are they going to have games televised? And number two, who is going to be calling your games at this point in time? That is going to be the tricky question as we enter this last season with the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. But anywho's, I will catch you guys over this past weekend. I am down at West Palm Beach. We'll have a bunch of content for you as we come back up. But until then, I'll catch you on the flip side. Go Nats.